Hello again. Welcome back to Maxwell Park Station. You've been following it on Facebook. Oh, this is home of Glasgow South Model Tram and Rail Group. I'm going to show you how to mount these Hammond and Morgan point motors. It's the Hammond and Morgan SM3 point motor. They're a fairly old, way back in the 60s these were out. Very robust. As a matter of fact, we bought 6 of these brand new at a show just not so long ago, so they're still available. It's a solenoid point motor, it's not a slow moving point motor. There is underneath, I'll show you it later, an auxiliary switch for the likes of changing if you've got LEDs in your panel to show which way the point's sitting, to change that. But the problem is the switch it's not really very good after a period of time. So we tend to go for another way of switching that, and as well as that we use Pico electrofrog points, and I've got one of these here. I'll show you this in more detail later on. So once I get the camera set up a bit more detail, I'll be back. Hello. As I said, we were using Pico electrofrog points. Now the old system that they used to use, underneath the rail here there was a wee tag, and that wee tag gave the continuity between this rail and that rail, and one on this side between that rail and this rail. Now the problem arose when the wee tags wore and they didn't make contact, and engines would stall on the points. And eventually, when DCC came in, Pico changed the design of the points altogether. So the new design was as this. In there was 2 wee wire links between those 2 bits and those 2 bits, which took the continuity from here right through to the frog. Then you had to have your 2 insulated fish plates across here between that and the next section of track to avoid a short circuit. But you were relying on this rail, the contact between there and there, taking the power, and it didn't always work. So what we came up with, and this is what DCC used, they removed the wire link between there and there and there and there, which in effect isolated this bit from this bit. And then what we did was, there's a bit of plastic across that. You cut that out, both sides, and put a wire link between the outside rail and the inside rail and that rail, with the result that this rail and that rail and this rail and that rail were always going to be energised, you know, but it was still separate from the frog itself. So obviously you've got to find a way of powering the frog itself. And so they come up with this idea of this wee wire here, which sits underneath the sleepers. And then you bore a hole in the track and take that down underneath. So that's how these points became a lot more reliable. But unfortunately, there's a wee bit more wiring involved than there was before. So now that I've explained that, just to recap, a metal fish plate on the 2 outside rails. the power to the track is always fed from this end of the point. You always power from the toe end. So your section brake, your section is powered from here, and then you've got your two insulated rails there onto the next section to avoid the short circuit. So that's fine. So getting back to mounting these point motors, I've got a bit of plywood here that I'm going to use, and you can see that I've cut the aperture out for the track pin, for the rod to go down to operate the point. So I'll be back in a wee minute once I've secured this to the board. So here we have our Pico point already mounted, and I've held it up to the light, and you can see the hole right through, so it will be clear to move back and forward. So we've got a point in situ. The next thing we should really do is, just to demonstrate what I mean, you can find them here. As I say, this is aimed at newcomers to electrofrog points. We've got one of the Pico insulated fish plates, and you must put one of them on there, and on there. You must have that, because otherwise you'll end up with a short circuit. So next thing we're going to do is mount the point motor. Now we do this a slightly easier but different way from other people. Here we have, where is it? There's the point motor as it stands when you get it. There's 4 holes, 2 each side to mount it. Now we could mount it straight onto the baseboard, but because these screws are that wee, we don't do that. What we do is we put it on to a block of wood. It's far easier to put it on a block of wood and have 2 holes. What we did was we made a complete batch of these wooden mounting blocks, and the reason for that is, if a point motor fails at a show, we undo the wires from the terminal block. There's no soldering involved. Undo these 2 screws and the point motor's out. So we don't take the point motor off of this. What we do is we just get another one, we've got spares, and we just put 2 screws back in, put it back in, wire it up, it's done. And that's what we do. But owing to that, we've got to get a wire. Some people use the Omega, where you've got a piece of wire and it's got a loop on it. We don't do that either. What we do is we get a piece of piano wire, and what we do is, motors like that, so we put it in the centre hole, which is for double low gauge. I don't think this hole's bigger than it is now. And what we do is we get a pair of pliers and we bend it at right angles. So there's your piece of wood there. So so there we have it. We've got our right rod in on the operating arm, and we solder it to the arm so that this becomes a solid block. And I'll just show you that in a wee minute once we've done it. So here we have our point motor ready to be soldered now. As you can see, I'm using a big heavy duty gun because you need a lot of heat for this to do it. Also good for safety because it only operates when you press the trigger. Make sure you get a nice bright joint. If the soldering iron, if the solder joint goes dull, it's not going to hold. Let's just let it cool. And then next thing you've got to make sure that the rod is dead straight. This has got a bend in it, so you've got to coax it into dead straight. It's just a not far off it. And the same the other way. And there you have the joint made. See, well, I don't know if it might be a wee bit shiny the way it should be. Checking it for a wee bit better than it was. Right, just a wee bit off that way. That's it. And then we take point motor, get it in the right way and it. If I can get the hole, and you just sit it in, and you see your rod sticking up, and by hand, wait a minute, hold on, I've moved. So the wrong way, it's sitting the wrong way to start with, so. Right, you can see. it's not quite in position because it's stiff. It shouldn't be stiff, it should be. You just got to manoeuvre it about till you get it so that it's a perfect switch. The first thing we've got to do is get this rod out of the way, because but as you can see, it does change. Now that's not the way that everybody does it, but that's how we mount our point motors, and we have found that it's the best way to do it. Once you get it into the position, you just mark 2 holes where the two holes for the screws are, and you'll find your 2 holes underneath. Screw them, and that should go in perfectly. And once I've done that, I'll let you see it working. Hello folks, I decided to use my wee hand drill for this job, just to give us a start as opposed to the power drill. Just a wee bit at a time, just to here we are again, and we've got the, you can see the screws just sticking through there, so it's just a question of getting the rod back in. And then lining it up, tighten one screw, then the other one. there's the point motor mounted. Now let's see if it works. No, it doesn't. This is the one thing that you can't anticipate. You got one in, sometimes you can I think we've maybe come a cropper here. Sometimes we've got to fill up the holes again just to get a I'll come back when I've sorted this. This is something I can't anticipate happening. Sometimes they go in no bother, sometimes they get bother. I've a wee bother here, so we're back shortly. Here you are, folks. That was just a couple of minutes, I can guarantee you that, and it works perfectly. So we've got the point mounted, we've got the point motor mounted now. Now the next question you're going to ask is, how are you going to transfer the power to the frog from positive to negative? And I'm going to show you how to do that once I get the gear for it. So there we have our power point motor mounted, and we've cut the rod as well. So if you look at it now, it works perfect. Okay, now the next stage to do this is we're left with this wire here, and what we're going to do, I'm going to show you, the first thing I'm going to do is fit two micro switches. One micro switch will operate the LEDs, the other micro switch will swap the frog power to this wire, so that if the point's fixed that way and that rail's negative, the frog will be negative. If it's switched the other way and that's positive, the frog will be positive. And that way the point will work perfectly. The locomotive is still getting its power between these two links you put in, So there should be no dead shorts, not dead shorts, dead sections. Sometimes with Hornby points, the frog's plastic, and it's about twice the length of the frog here. So smaller locomotor 040s can find a dead spot, but doing it this way, it alleviates that, and it should go right across, no problem. But as I said, point motor is working perfectly fitted, and I showed you how to do the rod, and the easy way to fix these. You've got your the way we do it is, this is the wire going to the red LED, this is the wire going to the green LED, and what we do is, obviously you've got two negatives, but we just, if you look at it, link them together, and one wire goes back to the return to the capacitor discharge, and that's the way that we do it. So a couple of minutes, we're back to conclude this.